The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects. Thank you for joining me on the first episode of an ongoing series that I'll call Connerly's Chronicles, at least until I can come up with a better name. Here we're going to talk about stories from history, stories from movies, from video games, and books as well, which is the topic of today's conversation. It's no secret that aliens and UFOs, otherwise more recently known as UAPs, have been on the top of many people's minds as of late. In 2017, the New York Times published an article speaking of America's mysterious UFO program, including footage of an encounter between a Navy Super Hornet and an unknown object.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
In 2019, the infamous Bob Lazar appeared on one of the most prominent podcasts in America to discuss his alleged involvement all the way back in the 1980s of working towards reverse engineering alien crafts at the even more infamous Area 51 in Groom Lake, Nevada. Other testimonies, like the story of David Fravor, Ryan Graves, and other pilots who allegedly came into contact with unexplained objects, came into public focus in 2021. In July of this year, a former Air Force intelligence officer turned whistleblower Major David Grush gave testimony to the U.S. Congress claiming the United States is concealing a decades-long program that captures and reverse engineers UFOs. He even claimed that the U.S. recovered non-human biologics, implying we have the alien pilots of these strange crafts. And now, here in 2023, the public has been captivated and likely misled by Jaime Maussan's presentation to the Mexican Congress on what he alleges are 1,000-year-old mummies of extraterrestrial origin. That now brings me to the book that I would like to recommend to you, The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects by Edward J. Ruppelt. Without spoiling the story, this book is the recollections of the aforementioned Edward J. Ruppelt and was published all the way back in 1956. What makes this book so special, in my opinion, is that it comes from a highly unique individual. More on him in just a moment. Since I was a history teacher, I'll give you some historical context. 1956 was a year deep in the throes of the Cold War, the technological and ideological race between the United States and the Soviet Union. John F. Kennedy, not yet president until 1960, hadn't yet promised that the US would be going to the moon. But in 1957, one short year after this book was published, Sputnik 1, the Soviet satellite, would be the first artificial satellite in space. A large part of Ruppelt's job was to determine, are these UFOs of Soviet origin, and does the USSR have technology that we don't? Ruppelt was a United States Air Force officer that was appointed the head of Project Blue Book, a secret project put in place by the Air Force to investigate a complicated question: what the heck is the deal with all these UFOs? If you find yourself tired of the tinfoil hat wearing pseudoscience and shenanigans shills that surround the topics of UFOs, well, you'll find that this book is a refreshing read. Ruppelt carefully documents and debunks many UFO encounters with clear writing and rationality befitting a military man. However, he does not solve everything. There are many highly credible UFO mysteries that Ruppelt discusses, and they are so much fun to read. Since I'm from New Mexico, I've always loved the topic of aliens and UFOs from a very young age. While I'm not completely through the book, I'm about a third of the way through, I've noticed that the famous Roswell incident is hardly present in Ruppelt's accounts. Regardless, I wanted to share with you one of Ruppelt's stories from my home state of New Mexico. This comes from chapter 4 of the book. At exactly midnight on September 18th, 1954, my telephone rang. It was Jim Phelan, a friend of mine from the Long Beach Press-Telegram, and he had a good flying saucer report, hot off the wires. He read it to me. The lead line was, "Thousands of people saw a huge fireball light up dark New Mexico skies tonight." The story went on to tell about how a blinding green fireball, the size of a full moon, had silently streaked southeast across Colorado and northern New Mexico at 8:40 that night. Thousands of people had seen the fireball. It had passed right over a crowded football stadium at Santa Fe, New Mexico. That's my hometown. And people in Denver said it turned night into day. The crew of a TWA airliner flying into Albuquerque from Amarillo, Texas saw it, and every police and newspaper switchboard in the two-state area was jammed with calls. One of the calls was from a man inquiring if anything unusual had happened recently. When he was informed about the mysterious fireball, he heaved an audible sigh of relief. "Thanks," he said. "I was afraid I'd gotten some bad bourbon," and he hung up. Have you had an experience with an unidentified flying object? Do you believe in aliens? Are you interested in this book? Let me know in the comments. One more time, this book is called The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects. It is by Edward J. Ruppelt. I recommend you head to your local library or use your favorite library app to check it out. You can even find the whole audiobook totally for free on YouTube. Thank you for spending some time with me to explore the story of